Today's Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day. And we participated in another 501c3 that I'm a part of, Pantex. It's actually Panama connection. I mean Panama connection that we did this Panama Foundation Corporation, etc., etc., etc. And what we did is we went ahead and participated in the Veterans Day parade. And what did we do? We went ahead and, first of all, I gave a little talk as our people were passing, as our group of Panamanians, probably 100 or so Panamanians, were marching with different dresses and cars, etc. And I explained that, a lot of people think about the people coming from the south of the border not doing things for the country, while we've lost thousands of Panamanians in both Vietnam, Korea, Desert Storm, and in fact, the president of this group, of which I am the VP of, he is in fact a veteran. His brother is a veteran, and they both fought in wars. I remember when Roberto would call me from Iraq as bombs were flying, scared. I don't think he was supposed to be using the phone then, but somehow he called while bombs were hitting his base in Iraq several years ago. So those of us south of the border, we are very much active in protecting this country as well. So, Yvette, that's the reason we are extraordinarily late. But the way I think, I just can't go a day without my program if it wasn't before told that I'm not going to have a program. But anyway, this is what some of our dressing looked like that was there. We have some others. Let me see if I can pull some others for you. Again, today is sort of a loose Veterans Day. We honor veterans, make sure that they're cared for. I spoke to a veteran out there who told me how much she had to go through during all of this period. All right, let's see if I can get some more pictures in the fold. I'm I'm pulling them up as we speak, so just bear with me, because I think it's a good thing to kind of show what we're doing and let you know what the person the program. Okay, and here's another one. That is one of our truck without celebrating veterans. We also had a few more with our polleras and montunos. That is our native dress. There we go. And I'm going to get into the program. It seems like Eric wants to start already. There we go with a couple more. I wanted to show the cunas, but I don't yet have the pictures of there are some cunas in there. Those are our native Indians in Panama, and that's their attire right there. All right, let's now get to the very short program that we're going to have. How are you feeling today, folks? How are you feeling? I trust you are feeling the pain. Some of you are still feeling the pain of having elected a thug again. I want to read you something that and Yvette, you would take. I would love to hear your comment on this, because I vehemently disagreed with it, and he wanted me to share it. I didn't share it to my chain because I didn't want people to understand who this guy was, because I think he would have lost a lot of respect. This is what I said. And this is what he said. Today I'm coming out of my cave. I'm not completely out of it, but close enough to yell out my opinion about the presidential election results. Since last Tuesday, I have shut myself off from media that would expose me to political rhetoric or Trump's voice. But Trump's victory was not a surprise for me. I have been telling my moderate-leaning friends for weeks that I would be gleefully surprised if Harris won, but couldn't see it happening. I felt she could lose because my fellow Black brothers and sisters, especially sisters, were too often expressing Harris' race as their reason for supporting her. Let me pause there. I don't know of anybody who supports her because of her race and not her competency. The race is a thing of pride that says we've never had a woman of color occupying that space. But to this friend of mine, that's how he saw it. I think he's completely wrong, but let's continue. This happened in spite of Harris' best efforts to downplay the race factor. In forecasting the election results, I asked myself how I would feel if a white candidate supporters made such a hullabaloo about his or her being white. And we're all over the television expressing it. Again, he misses the point. If you are white, you never ever have to ask what it would be like if the leadership of the country were white. So it's something that doesn't ever have to be discussed. People are not reveling in somebody being black or people of color ascending to race because of a racial thing. It's because of a novelty. It is because it is something that hadn't occurred before. It's because of something that is long overdue. But again, self-hate is a killer, right? We can make an intellectual argument about white being the dominant race and the racial pride rule doesn't apply to them. I don't know who thinks whites are the dominant race. Race is a figment of our imagination. But if you evidently do believe that, that's your imagined view. That's what you believe, and that's what allows people like Trump to win. Because there are too many who believe that. I don't. But I suspect many blue-collar white people who see themselves as struggling and falling behind people of color don't understand that aspect of racial pride. Well, instead of putting your head in the sand, wouldn't it be better, as I do with politics done right, as I do with all of my white friends, black friends, Latin friends, every kind of friend, if there is an issue that they don't understand, we actually make sure and teach them, right? I thought it would drive enough of them toward tribalism and even racial prejudice to influence the election. It would drive them too. They have already been there. It's a figment of your imagination. Just like we say, you can't out Republican a Republican. You can't try to be Republican light to win Republican votes. You have to win votes by going all out for the people. That is why I predicted Trump's victory, and I think that's why he won. No, Trump won because America is still a sexist and racist country. That they will elect a felon, that they will elect a thug, that they would elect a rapist over a qualified woman who has done nothing but good for society, and they pick someone who has damaged society. That is a disease that racism causes. When you vote against your interests because you allowed racial lies to penetrate your mind, that is the dangers of racism. Racism has nothing to do with color and who you are. It has to do with how stupid you think you can get. And I use the word stupid again, and I don't like to use the word stupid, but think about it. Think about how many people use the excuse of the trans for their vote. Look at how many people use the excuse of women, the things that people have used as excuses to vote for a thug, to vote for a criminal, just shows you the danger of racism. So Donald Trump didn't win because of policy. Donald Trump didn't win because of any of those issues. And, there is a piece that I did over the weekend, and I'm contemplating playing it now, but I am also contemplating waiting for a bigger audience to play it. And what I'll do is since the audience just started to grow, I'm going to go ahead and play it. But let me set it up here while I delete some of these photographs. A lot of good white people are out there not believing what's right in front of their eyes because they cannot see. They cannot believe that all white people don't share their level of fairness. Okay? I think, and I empathize with them, because to believe some people that share, and I shouldn't really empathize, right? Because the truth of the matter is, what one white person does shouldn't make me judge what another white person does. Okay, it shouldn't. Just like what one black person does or one Asian person does shouldn't affect what you think about other Asians or other people that share that crazy thing called race. Okay, it shouldn't, but it does. To too many people, it does. For a long time, when I saw crime on TV, I would say, "Oh Lord, please let it not be a black person," because we know what comes with it. We know the stereotype, and we know the narrative. And the same happens with white people. It's like, "Oh, we're not racist. We've gone over that. We're not racist." So some cannot fathom that there is one simple reason Trump lost. I mean, that Kamala Harris lost. And the reason, well, actually two reasons. And the reasons are sexism and racism. You need to ask no other question. And I'm not going to entertain anything about economic angst and all that crap. I won't entertain that anymore. If you want to talk about the economic challenges, go somewhere else, because Biden recovered an economy destroyed by Trump. Biden dropped poverty levels in half for the first 2 years that he had. And of course, the Republicans came in and turned that around. I could go item after item that Biden did that helped not only people in the cities, but people in Appalachia and everywhere else. And he still lost. When I say he still lost, I mean he lost when his face became Kamala Harris. So let's go ahead and play this piece with Eddie Glaude. I just simply love what Eddie Glaude did here with Jessica Ruhle, and I think you guys will get what I'm talking about.
I want you guys to listen to this interaction between Stephanie Ruhle and Eddie Glaude, because Eddie Glaude finally got her to do something rarely you would see a host do, Norman. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
All right, let's go.
Eddie, the fact that we were all so blindsided by the election results, does that tell us that identity politics is silencing people? Because even I can see in my social media feed in the last couple of days, all these people are suddenly like, yeah, that was my guy. We're hearing stories in the suburbs the day after the election. People are now putting Trump signs up.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, but let's be clear, Trumpism is a form of identity politics.
Amen.
We don't want to say that this, my beautiful white skin, remember? That's what he said?
Yes.
Tucker Carlson saying in Madison Square Garden, we have been given permission to call BS on this wokeism stuff. We will no longer be made to feel guilty. That comes straight out of, we will not be replaced. That came straight out of Tucker.
There were a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who didn't listen to the rally and who don't know who Tucker Carlson is, but who are super unhappy about inflation, that they can't afford their lives, and they voted for him. And they're not buying into fascism.
I get that, but I think they have an idea, though, that whenever the incoherence of the country comes into full view, the tricky magic of falling into place, falling behind a notion of whiteness that could hold off all the reason why all hell is breaking loose economically, right, is because big government is putting its thumb on the scale and redistributing resources from deserving people to undeserving people, right? So there's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me.
A lot of people voted because their life's too damn expensive, and it was here, and
they voted for. You're telling me that all of these people who believe that their lives are, that bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted fella, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot.
They voted for this guy.
I'm not defending it. but I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying life's not fair. I'm not doing well. My son's still living in the basement. I can't seem to get a job. I don't like the status quo. I'm voting for something else. And
I love you to life.
I love you.
But I do not believe that. I cannot believe that. And the reason I think you believe it is because you don't want to believe that that's what's really motivating them. It's always the case. People don't want to believe what the country actually is, because if they believe it, they're going to have to confront what's in them. I don't believe that. They voted for a crook, a person who they know is stealing from, just doing everything to undermine the so-called country that they love. And then they're telling us the BS that it's economics. We know that's not true. We know it's not true. And we got to raise our kids in this shit. Oops.
You're allowed.
Go ahead.
You're allowed.
I do think it's pretty clear that we don't share the same deal breakers as a country that I would have hoped for.
Okay, this is what I think.
So this
is what I think. This is what I think.
Which is to say that there are certain things that should obviously be disqualifying. How he has approached the question of race alone is disqualifying.
Agreed.
Without question. What he has done in the laundry list you just alluded to, felonies, rape in a civil trial, down the list, 40 or so cabinet members who say, we cannot work for this guy, we cannot support this guy.
Yes.
All of that stuff. Why isn't it disqualifying? On some level, it's because they opted in and saw it and said, not bothered by it. Not as important to me as change that I personally can believe in, selfishness, right? But the other thing that makes this so bleak that I keep on returning to is that some people also just don't care enough to know and or just don't know. Right? When I think about the way that
I'm not excusing it, but I think that's the case.
I wish I could isolate the variable of malice versus ignorance. I believe that a recurring through line of our time is that it's becoming increasingly impossible to know. And maybe that's a distinction without a difference, right? Maybe we have the responsibility to know, but we are living in a media ecosystem in which there is no mainstream. And Eddie, I just can't count on everybody having the information in a way that I grew up knowing and hoping our country would.
Anyway, did Eddie Glaude do the right thing finally on national TV in the way he addressed her with love, but in the way he addressed Stephanie Ruhle?
You know, I think he did. I think that is what a lot of other people, POCs have been saying this a long time. We're the ones at risk. We didn't pull a race card.
Right.
It's been created for us. So, so if you're in a situation in which you cannot say, look, my country is not what I thought it was.
And that is a hurtful part. I mean, a lot of people think that most Americans are hurting because Kamala didn't get elected. It's not that we're hurting because Kamala didn't get elected. They're hurting because America looked into their faces and said, you know what? A person who's done all that America said you're supposed to do. You got an education. You got a good job. You service the community. You are, for the most part, truthful. Running up against a criminal, not just somebody that we think is a criminal, somebody by his own words, by his own deed is a criminal. And you lose an election and then you claim it's the economy. Norman, no matter what, it may be true that the economy for many, it's bad. That may be true.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is it's no different or not substantively different than when Donald Trump crashed the economy and we rebuilt.
No. Look, we all want to have a scapegoat for this. But in reality, what happened for me on Wednesday was I had to come face to face with the destruction of the myth of the America that I believed in.
Yeah.
I believed in a country that was post-World War II. People would stand up against fascism. I thought people were strong in their belief in each other. I'm disappointed.
You gotta
I've got a wake up call in my own people because I'm an American. Above all things, I choose to live here, and this is where I want to be. But I I'm disappointed.
And, justifiably so. And until hosts like Stephanie Ruhle stop thinking that somehow that this election was because of economic issues, other than the core issue. And you hear you hear the media trying to analyze in all different forms, not to say basically why Kamala lost. Kamala lost not only for the same reason Hillary lost, but she also lost for her hue. And until we realize that, we're going nowhere. So I want to thank Eddie Glaude for being brave enough to go on national TV and say something that we all know. Stephanie Ruhle doesn't want to know it because at the core, she's going to have to say a lot of my friends and family, that's who they are.
Hold on. I don't think it's because Stephanie Ruhle doesn't know it. I think
she doesn't want to know it.
She does. She's not allowed to say this. This is corporate media.
You know what? I think you're right.
This is a tangible thing. She wants to sell herself. She will not call out her own folks in her own back room that do bad things, right? She won't say anything about all the things that happened in 2016, all the way up to this election.
Norman, I think I gotta agree with you. So I think Stephanie Ruhle knows better, but she's also looking out for her interests as well. But she gave, at least there's one thing we got to give her latitude for. She gave Eddie Glaude the opportunity to say what both you and I know.
And thanks to Eddie Glaude for saying it out loud.
Absolutely. Folks, we have to live in a better country. We have to fix this country.
We must, as I said, we must be better. We have to get better. By the way, that was Norman Reynolds, one of our stalwarts here and supporters of Politics Done Right as well. He came over to give me a visit over the weekend. And as he was visiting, I was preparing both for our Panamanian Gala that Saturday night, as well as he watched an interview that I did with Tim Moore over in Detroit, as well as being here while I was processing this video. So he went through the entire process of how we prepare each video clip. And I think you should ask him the amount of work that goes into preparing one clip. And he was sitting down here. Wow. Anyway, folks, Bridge FCP has an important piece on the screen. And it's pretty much reveals what we talked about. Turned on cable news this morning. What a bunch of BS. Any spokesperson who got on and complained about VP not having the proper outreach or plans, policies can go kick rocks. She had plans tailored for every damn voting block. What she didn't have was a penis and white skin. I couldn't have said it any better. I mean, for those people who are taking care of parents and kids at the same time, having in-house Medicare, think about that. Having, for small businesses just starting and needing support, creating a program that gives up to $50,000 in credits. Wow. Get that company accelerated growth. On children, you got your first child. We make sure that you get some extra cash. When we talk about not having enough children. And we're doing something to take the pain of having children, which is why a lot of millennials don't have kids. A lot of Gen Z say they aren't having kids. Why? Because of the policies. And then at the same time, we don't want immigration. We want to deport folks. My God. I said, I want full Republican control of our presidency, our House and Senate. All those people who are saying, just maybe we can squeak by and win the Congress. No. Most Americans voted for Donald Trump. Donald Trump earned the presidency, and the amount of people that voted Republican earned the Congress. And you know what else they earned? They earned the Senate. My brother Ray, how are you doing, sir? It was great seeing you this weekend.
I was just about to say, you go ahead, because I think you were going to say what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Well, look, first of all, I was at the HPJC. No, I tell you what, you talk, because I'm not sure what you were going to talk about. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it was great to see you. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, hey, folks, we had the Houston Peace and Justice Center. We honored some very deserving people over this weekend, and I invited our brother, Mr. Ray, Ray, to come out with us. And at first, he was late, by the way. I kept on looking around for Ray, looking around, and I thought about calling him, but I said, I'm not going to call him because he's a young man and he probably just found a señorita. So I was going to leave him alone. So I then just saw him walk in, and I was recording the program. I left my recording program to make sure and usher our brother, our PDR posse member, into the organization. And there he met a lot of good people, and not only good people that he met, he also saw a lot of good old activists that he used to hang with before. Now your turn.
Yes, brother. And it was good. Like I say, it was good seeing you, good being in the space where, even in this pit of despair that I've been trying to crawl out of, there's still a lot of progressive minded people who are trying to find out the right answers. But I guess, for me, it's like I wanted to share a story with you. On Friday, I went to one of the vendors that I go to on a regular, and I always have, pretty, deep conversations with them about my political values. And, we got into a little debate. It got a little heated, but I'm going to try to, give you the conclusion. The conclusion was, I told him, since he said he doesn't believe in voting and that his entire life is centered around his family and his own personal growth, as opposed to relying on some government entity to be the end all be all to his success in life. He said to me, you know what? With all that stuff you talking, I respect your opinion, I respect your values, but I'm not going to let you stand here and talk down to me, because I choose to live my life in a way that doesn't include politics. And secondly, I want to say, if I did vote, who's to say that I would have voted for the people that you believe in? What if I wanted to vote for Trump and everybody else? What if I told you I don't believe in none of that, fairy tale, whatever stuff that y'all believe in, and I'm good with it either way? What about then? Would you still want me to go out and vote? And, that challenged me in a way to where I said, you know what? In the future, I didn't know what to say at that time, but in the future, I'd say, you know what? If you are okay with the status quo and the way things are going, maybe it's good you didn't vote. But if you are a progressive-minded person who feels like there's a lot that needs to be done, but you just don't seem like you feel that your vote will count, then yes, I am talking to you. What's your thoughts on that interaction?
First of all, I think you handled the interaction well. I mean, and here's the other thing. I love how he said that he doesn't. There are two things that comes out of it. How do you know who I would vote for? Well, for somebody like him who has not voted, you know that the only reason he would go vote is that something materially affected his family that he is aware of. First of all, he shows that he's not a critical thinker, because everything affects his family, whether he knows it or not. If he's a small vendor, how he pays for health insurance affects his family. Whether he has a plan with a big deductible or all these things affect him. So he can claim that it doesn't affect him. I think, ultimately speaking, he's lazy. Okay, I honestly think the real thing for a lot of non-voters,
that's what I said.
It's lazy. All right. Now
that's what I said, and that's what
they're lazy to learn. There are two factors, right? They're either too lazy to learn or lazy to go deeper, or they're simply like the percentage of people who voted for Donald Trump, that they voted for Donald Trump whether they want to admit it or not, because they are racist and sexist. I will tell, and including to my followers and my PDR posse members that I love, and I mean it. I love all of you, left, right, or not. But I'm going to say this categorically: all of my PDR posse members who voted for Trump, knowingly or unknowingly, they are racist and sexist. And that's a blanket statement. You can't tell me that you were okay putting a felon into our country. You can't tell me you're patriotic. You can't tell me all these things and put that guy into office. I'm done. I am done as far as saying, I will continue to try to reach my brothers and sisters on the right. I will. I promise I will. And I will continue to love on them. I will continue to do all those things. But I do that now knowing that you have codified within my mind that whether knowingly or unknowingly, you are in fact racist and sexist. Continue, Ray.
Yeah, and with that being said, I mean, he did bring up a good point. There might be a lot of non-voters who otherwise are okay with the status quo, whatever it is. So in other words, he was telling me if a Democrat is in office and I do better, I'm going to do fine. Okay. If a Republican is in office and it's a little rough, I'm going to make it out. It's like they basically, idolize themselves as these, I noticed there's a lot of these non-voting people. They idolize themselves as these, fortified, bulletproof, I can live and survive through anything, and whoever is in power doesn't matter to me type of mentality.
And we all know
how do you speak to that?
Well, again,
how do you speak to that?
You cannot. The only thing you can do is what we're doing here and continuously inform. And when they reach to a certain point, where, look, I repeat this story ad nauseum. Remember the Pittsburgh wives who asked her husband who they're voting for in 2008, and he said, "We're voting for the N guy." That's when I knew Obama was going to win. If Trump is bad enough if the economy tanks as I think it's going to tank under Trump, if he implements supposedly what he said he's going to implement, then it doesn't matter who runs. That is a point where a Kamala Harris can win. But you see, remember, Kamala was turning over a good economy. So these people were lying to themselves. They lied to themselves to believe the fallacies that Donald Trump tells them about the economy so that they have a reason to say why they voted for Trump other than race. But they are voted on a lie because the economy is not bad. And the economy is not worse than when Trump was president. They can say inflation wasn't there, but that is what Trump did. So you can't say, and again, that's why I'm saying the next time, the only time a woman, and especially a woman of color, can get elected with our people who still have too much of racism and sexism within their brains is if it's bad enough that they're willing to say, I am going to vote for the N. I'm going to vote for the P. That is how you know when that can happen. Go ahead, brother.
I agree. And I mean, what is it going to take? I mean, you're right. They think that things are bad right now because they let the orange clown brainwash them.
Ray, let me interrupt. They don't think it is bad. They fool themselves that it's bad. They know better. They're not dumb. They know better. We've spoken about this enough. Look at Eric Hayes still talking about 9.1 inflation, not realizing all the things that we've spoken about. And that's not why he voted for Trump. I mean, he voted for Trump because he just won't have somebody like Kamala running the country. That's it. That's it.
Well, I will say this. I've been watching a lot of the numbers, and you know what doesn't make sense to me is this cycle around, no matter if it was a smaller part of the electorate that chose Donald Trump, the part of the electorate that ultimately chose Donald Trump is the part of the electorate that, like what baffles me is that the higher income earners voted overwhelmingly for Kamala. But the lower income, like we're talking 30 to 50K, the people that we have to interact with on a daily basis, those people saw Trump as the answer to whatever their problems were.
Exactly.
Knowing if you actually, and I'll finish on this, and if you go and look, there was actually a TikTok where a guy said, if you actually look at the numbers, Trump's tax plan puts $4,000 less in your pocket. Kamala would have put $4,000 more, but y'all so blinded by your own sexism and racism, y'all missing out on your own blessing, like the Christians would say.
Now think about it. That's a $8,000 differential, brother. $8,000 differential. It's sad. It is sad. Now let's see. The question. Yvette says,
"We're gonna have to put that."
Yeah, we're gonna have to push it. Yvette says the question now is, how long will we enjoy the election process? Let me tell you, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But I tell you what, yes, this time around, I am going to say we told you so, but the door is still open for you to join us. But I will say we told you so because I want folks to know. I want them to learn something called decency and embarrassment. Right now, they are not embarrassed that they're electing a traitor. They're not embarrassed that they're electing a thug, a criminal, a convict. I want them to feel that embarrassment. And maybe they won't ever feel that embarrassment. But you know what? I will feel that knowing that whether they're embarrassed or not, they understand and they know what they did. You follow me, my brother?
Well, hopefully they'll feel it sooner than we do.
Well, they may not. They may not feel it.
Much.
No. As far as the poverty,
I agree with you. Come on, I agree with you say. I mean, they probably won't feel it, but knowing that they are okay with this, and they're, it's like they say, you make your bed and you lay in it, and
you lay in it, brother.
We'll find out.
But anyway, look, I just wanted. First of all, thank you very much for showing up at the Houston Peace and Justice Center's National Peacemakers Award. As you can see, we awarded 3 Peacemaker Awards posthumously, and we gave to 4 solid local activists in town, including Dr. Tice, who's one of my proteges. So, thank you for showing up there. Anything else, Ray, before I go on?
Well, I do hope you get that interview with that young lawyer that we saw at the event. Because she got so. But that's all, Egberto. We just got to keep on having these conversations. Maybe we'll have an epiphany. But as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to leave this on a more lighthearted note. As far as I'm concerned, the only way we're going to even beat Greg Abbott in 2026 is if we got to find somebody more popular than him. And I know this is way left field, but I'm voting Stone Cold Steve Austin for Texas governor 2026 because I feel like he's the only one that's popular enough, and he actually is pretty liberal in his views.
Well, you know what? I'll take your. I haven't done a research on Steve Austin, but I'll take your cue as a PDR posse member. I know that's somebody I'm going to have to look at. Thank you so kindly, Ray, for calling, brother.
All right, take it easy. See you around.
All right, folks. That was our own Ray, who calls in here frequently because he's one of our posse. Stone cold. All right, Yvette Avery Herod. Anyway, folks, we started late, and that's why we're going kind of late. But I'm going to close her down now because there's so much that I have to do. Let me just forewarn you that there is a possibility that on Wednesday we're late again, or may have to have a tape show because we brought several firemen from Panama. Our organization did to march in the parade. And we have to take them back. And because of ticket pricing, of course, we got them out of Austin. So we have to take them to Austin and back to take care of that. Anyway, I am going to, if I don't have anybody else calling in the next minute and a half, 281-823-7747, I'll close this baby down. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. I will close her down otherwise. All right, folks, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so kindly for being here. Even as I started late, I got a whole lot of you watching. So thank you so kindly. Love you all. And I mean that. And I mean the love for my righties as well. I got interviewed yesterday and by a right-wing station, held my ground, and we'll be back there again. But again, We have one country. The resistance must continue. The resistance must get tough. I'm not talking about violent, but the resistance must get tough. We have to call it out. No pleasantries. We got to call it out. I know Bridge MCP will be very happy with that, but we've got to call it out. We got to be civil, but we must call it out. I'm going to wait 30 more seconds. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. All right. Anyway, folks, without further ado, I'd like to ask you to please support the program. And how do you support the program? I'm going to be short today. Just go ahead and consider becoming a supporter by buying or becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And that is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I put it in the chat, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. All right, I'm going to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.